Hi, I'm Brooke Carroll, and I am principal coach and consultant with AC Strategies. And I work with small schools because I think that small schools play a really critical role in the educational landscape, and they meet an important need for many students, families, and for educators. So people always ask me, what is your definition of a small school? And I really like to talk about the feelings that are characterized by small schools and the feelings that community members in small schools have rather than numbers. So here are some of those feelings. The first one is really about community and a close knit community. People talk about, I feel like it's a family here, I feel like I'm coming home, and also the feeling of being known, being really deeply well known by everyone. And so this is felt at all levels. Students feel it when they are known by not only their own teachers, but all the teachers in the school. They're known by the administration, and they're known by other kids' parents. And so a kid might come into school, and the head of school might say, Alex, how was your soccer game last night? And then she goes down the hall, and some other teacher says, Alex, hey, I heard you scored a goal last night. And then she goes to aftercare or to clubs, and the club leader says, Alex, nice job last night. Now, that student feels really well known, not just for her academics, but for her whole life, her whole being in that school. That's pretty powerful. And then you go up the line. Teachers also feel really well known in a small school. People know their strengths and their challenges and can support them in those. They feel like they're part of a team, and that a deep trust can be developed in that kind of environment. And then you go all the way up, and the board. Board members of small schools often feel very connected to their community. They feel like they can have a really strong impact. They feel known. They feel like there are opportunities for them to engage in the life of the school. So this sense and this feeling of close community, being well known, it's kind of the hallmark of a small school. So another feeling that has kind of both positive and negative connotations and a sense to it is the feeling of scarcity. And this is felt both financial scarcity and also human resources. And certainly with financial scarcity, people don't like to feel pinched with money. But when schools have intentionally small enrollments, and so just by the number of paying customers is smaller for a reason, there's just less to play with in the budget. Budgets are lean, and sometimes that can feel constraining, can feel like you're being pinched, can be frustrating, things like that. On the other hand, it allows people or forces people to be creative with the use of their limited finances. And I've seen schools that have done really incredible work with students and gave students opportunities that they wouldn't have had if they had a lot of money to buy things or playground equipment or things like that. And so, on the one hand, scarcity of finances can be really constraining, but on the other, it can almost be freeing and really allow for creativity in ways that you wouldn't get otherwise. Another kind of scarcity piece is human resources. In most small schools, there's not a huge, big bench of administration to tackle all that needs to be done. And so that kind of scarcity of human resources can make people feel overwhelmed, sometimes burned out. And so that can be kind of a negative. It leads to a feeling that is typical in small schools, which is that of wearing many hats. And everyone wears many hats in a small school. The head of school might also be doing admissions work or development work or marketing work or all of them. Teachers often have many hats in a small school, and even parents have many hats in a small school. They certainly volunteering in a variety of ways. And board members as well. So the many hats thing and the many hats feeling can be a negative if it feels like you're doing too much and there's burnout. However, it can be really positive in ways that you're more connected with people because you have all these different ways of interacting with them. And I know when I was the head of a small school, and I was doing admissions work and development work and marketing work, I learned so much about those different realms of school administration in ways that I never would have if I had been in a larger school and had a team working on each of those areas. So, wearing many hats can be a real negative, but it can be a real positive as well. The wearing many hats also leads to this feeling of nimbleness and responsiveness that is characterized by small schools. When there are fewer people to have to talk to in a situation, you can make decisions really quickly, and you can move on things, and you can be responsive in ways that when you have to talk to 50 people on your administrative or your faculty, it's a lot different than talking with 15. And as I'm filming this in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're definitely seeing small schools really rising to the occasion of being nimble and responsive to this crisis and coming out with really strong responses. Another element of that is being able to be responsive to individual needs. When you've got 1,000 students you have to respond to, it's hard to individualize. When you've got 100, absolutely you can do that. So all of these feelings kind of are really part of the small school experience. And that's not to say that larger schools don't have real positive aspects, positive feelings, caring, nurturing, responsive, good communication. Certainly they have those as well. But in a small school, it's the package of all of that together, and all of that, the positive and the negative. And I think that when we bring leaders of small schools together to talk about these feelings and these characteristics of small schools, it really allows them to hone in on the unique nature of small schools and talk about and share ideas for capitalizing on those unique feelings and unique benefits, and also talk about ways to mitigate the challenges. I think when you get to more than 250, 275 students, you start losing those feelings of the unique nature of the small school. It's not to say that that small schools, very small schools, have all of those all the time. I've worked with schools of 50 students that didn't feel particularly constrained or impacted by the feelings of financial scarcity. And I've worked with schools of 300 that felt very impacted by scarcity financially. So it's not a perfect science, but it does provide some context and talking points and a way for leaders of small schools to really come together and collaborate around the unique nature of small schools. And it works for me. So thanks for listening. Take care.